Welcome back to Wisconsin Family. We are here at Wisconsin Granite, sitting behind a beautiful marble desk that we're going to share a bit of information with you later in the show, so stick around. Right now we're going to talk a little bit about emergency planning. Now you don't want to wait until you have an emergency to start dealing with it. And we're going to talk about that with Bill Lockwood, who is here from Aquire Restoration. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, a good topic to talk about because so many of us don't think in advance. And so I want to share a little bit with viewers at home, first of all, what Aquire Restoration does.
Well, essentially we provide mitigation services. We'll do cleanup and restoration, mostly for things like water damage, fire damage, but we also cover things like mold, smoke, odor control, biohazard spills, trauma scene cleanup, and other things. The list is pretty good of the specialty services we provide.
So all of the things that you just listed are things that businesses are probably unequipped to handle themselves, or homeowners, right?
Yeah, we provide those services to both the commercial and the residential properties throughout Wisconsin and Iowa. Wow. So yes, it's a specialized service that needs professional attention.
Absolutely.
And this is a pretty big market, so there's other folks, we've heard of other folks who do the same thing that you guys do. What sets you guys apart?
Well, one of the things that I noticed when I came on board is the business model. It's conducive to having good productive growth, number one, but because of the business model, it allows us to have superior market coverage. Because we share our resources, there's less turnover, so we can invest more in the training and development of the people that we hire, and that's a big deal when you're out at a loss for fire or water damage.
I can imagine. And let's talk a little bit about that process of what happens when you have fire or water damage, or you even talked about mold or hazardous spill or something of that nature that we're so unequipped to handle. What kind of process do you take? Is there, I'm sure it's not a one-size-fits-all, but are there some basic rules?
Yeah, that's a great question. When a call comes in, we take a new loss report, an intake sheet, if you will. Okay. We take all the vital information about what type of a loss it is, when it occurred, what affected areas there are, and then we'll assign that to a project manager. The project manager will then go do a physical inspection of the property, and then we start mobilizing the proper, the crew size that we would need, the proper resources that would be required to get the job done. Once that work is complete, which can be a process that could be just 2 or 3 days, or it could be months and months depending on how large the loss is, we'll do a final inspection once that's all done, and then we have the customer sign off on a certificate of satisfaction that the work is finished before we close that file.
Oh wow, that's unique. So it's not you deciding that the work is completed, it's basically the customer saying, oh yeah, I believe this is done. Wow,
absolutely. We want to make sure that everything is to their approval before we walk away from the job.
What a great approach to a business. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, switching gears just a little bit, we're in the cold winter weeks of February here, so do you find that there are different types of jobs that arise in the cold months versus in the summer?
You bet. Each season brings its own unique processes. Right now we're going through a lot of frozen pipes. Okay. You look at the snowbirds, if you will, that go south for the winter months and they forget to bleed their pipes, so a lot of pipes will burst. We're seeing when we had the mild weather, for example, last week, all the snow that we had in December melted off and ran into basements. There are also chimney fires issues. We'll see space heater issues, all things kind of specific to the winter. And then in the spring we have torrential rains and we have tornadoes. They all require different types of approaches to taking care of those losses.
Yeah, you're never at a loss for business based on what I'm hearing you say. The cold, torrential rain, tornadoes, I mean, it never ends.
Well, here in Wisconsin, it's basically recession-proof as long as you do a good job.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's the key. It sounds like you're really tuned into that customer satisfaction, so I think that's important. And I want to kind of loop back to that, talking about customers and what they can receive. What kind of benefits or value do you believe that customers receive when they use Aquire specifically?
Well, the biggest thing is dollars and cents. Because we're not a franchise, we don't have the constrictions or restraints that franchise restoration companies have. We're not paying royalties, we're not paying franchise fees, we're not paying advertising costs. We're not restricted to buy our equipment through that company, so we can go out and source out the best prices for everything that we do, and that translates into a lower cost for the customers that we serve. So that's a big deal for us.
Yeah, very good. And obviously, as the consumer, we want those cost savings to transfer to us and not feel like we're paying for those extra things.
You mentioned earlier, Bill, that you serve southern Wisconsin, and I think you mentioned Iowa in there.
Yes.
Can you expand a little bit on what markets you serve?
Sure. We've been in business for 10 years. We started out in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and then we opened up an office in Kekaunan and our Madison office, which has been here for 5 years. And then we have an office in Waterloo, Iowa. The office here in Madison, I'm really proud to be associated with. In just 5 years, they've grown to have what I believe is the largest fleet of trucks serving the Madison, Wisconsin area. And so it really is something that I noticed right away when they explained how the business is conducted, that this was a company that was really a good one to be tied into.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing all that. So fire, weather, mold, you name it, who are you going to call? Now you know you can call Aquire Restoration, and this is Bill Lockwood who's joining us. Thanks for sharing your information with us.
Thanks for having me.
We have more Wisconsin Family for you coming up after the break. We're here at Wisconsin Granite, and please stay with us.